Her triumphs, I took a group of women that didn't believe in themselves, and I just believed in them. Her trials,
I never wanted to go to practice. I was losing a ton of weight.
her story,
I just put my faith in God and just trusted the system.
her why.
I want people to see what I did and say, oh, that's so awesome. I'm going to be better than that. That would be how I hope that this journey ends.
This is Her Why, where we tell the stories from BYU women's sports. Here is your host, Lauren McLean.
We're so glad you've joined us for Her Why, where we celebrate the women who make BYU sports great. Joining us today is BYU Softball's fifth-year catcher and power hitter, Lindy Milkowski. In her one and only season with the Cougars, she's brought leadership, energy, and a big bat to the lineup. Thank you so much for being here with me, Lindy.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
You're just one big party, so I'm really excited for this interview. You just wrapped up a tough road series at Baylor, taking one game, dropping two, and so even though Game 3 didn't turn out how you wanted, you hit a 2-run homer to get BYU on the board early. You have a knack for seeing the ball, not just seeing the ball, but crushing the ball. Where does that come from?
You know, I have to admit this, and I have to give a shout out to my mom for this, and she's totally going to flip when I say this. But it really has to do with T-work, and it has to do with putting in the work when you don't want to. So it's a lot about putting in the work in the off season, putting in the work to see the ball even when you're not in those high-pressure situations, and then kind of visualizing that in your head. So for me, a lot of it is I visualize at-bats, even games, before they happen. So like the week before, I was visualizing, okay, so we have this pitcher, number 15, Lily Walker. She's a lefty drop ball pitcher who throws a little bit slower than we've seen so far. And I was like, okay, I need to visualize what's she going to throw me, go through at bats and think about that. And then just have the affirmations to go through and just say, I'm a great hitter. Like, I'm a great hitter, and I'm going to go up there and square this ball up. And so that's kind of what is the process for me as I start with, you know, I got to put in the work on the tee. And it's not the most glamorous thing ever, tee work. If you ask any softball player, they're like, oh, what's my favorite thing? If they say tee work, okay, they're pretty cool, but like me, no way. So it's like putting the work on the tee and then definitely going through visualizations, affirmations, and going through the mental side of the game, because I feel like softball is just as much mental as it is physical. I think there's a quote by Yogi Berra that was like, it's baseball, but similar concept. Baseball is 50% physical and like 80% mental. He's a really smart guy, but it definitely is mental as just as much physical and working through my swing.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. And you said you listen to your mom, who we have to mention. We're going to talk about her a little bit later, but she's a coach.
Yep.
Right
she
now.
coaches at the University of Memphis.
Yeah, so she knows what she's talking about.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit. I don't like to admit that, but she definitely does.
So cool. Okay, you're coming to the end of your one and only season with BYU. How would you describe how this experience has been like for you so far?
Oh my gosh, it's been transformative. I can't even, I'm like, I would scream from the hilltops at this point, come to BYU, come to BYU, because at this point, it's been an amazing year, and I would not have traded it for anything. It's been so amazing to be here and to be with this group of girls and these coaches. Like, it's been just so much better than I ever have had in my career, and it's just been a place where I feel like I can do my thing and, you know, dance and heel click and go crazy. I'll give a shout out to the BYU announcers for our games. They have now started calling me the party animal, and I think it's a very apt description of me, and I would love that to continue.
So you probably didn't know much about BYU, I would assume, before coming here. So what's one thing that really surprised you when you got here?
I would say the thing that surprised me the most is just the culture. Like I had a skewed perception, I'm not gonna lie. I'm from Kansas, so it's just like we don't get a lot out there.
Yeah.
And so just coming here, it was so nice to be a part of a group of girls that were just they wanted to win. Like that's what I'm competitive. I'm as much fun as I am competitive. So for me, it was like we wanted to win, but we also enjoy the process, and we enjoy the game, and we enjoy each other. So it's like that cultural aspect is just something you can't make. It's just you recruit the girls that you bring in, and you recruit just these amazing women that want to come like play for something bigger than themselves, but also play at a really high level. And you don't get that like in other schools. Trust me, I've been there. I've been to those other
you've
schools.
been to a couple.
And of course there's been girls that I play with that I'm like, oh my gosh, I respect the crap out of them, and they're amazing. But like this group is just, they're so talented, but they're also just such salt of the earth people. And it's just been such a good, experience for me to be with them and talk with them and get to know them. Even though it's my only year, like I know that I've made long-lasting friendships just from being here.
And that's got to be a little intimidating coming in somewhere and you're like, and I know this is my one and only year, so it's not like you have tons and tons of time to build up this camaraderie. So what did your teammates do to help you feel at home when you got here?
We did a lot of like kind of team bonding events. We did a little bonfire thing and I got to know them. There's a few line dancing places around here that my teammates would go to. I'm going to talk about line dancing a lot. I love line dancing, but we went and did that together. And there's just ways that we kind of just came together as a group. And honestly, practice is a big way to just get to know your teammates because there are certain times at practice. So I'll give you an instance. When we're shagging, like where we're out just picking up balls after we hit, there is basically just time where you're just standing there kind of doing nothing. Yeah. So you can just talk to your teammate and just be like, hey, I don't know much about you. Where are you from? Do you have family? And just kind of talk with them then. And you get those times where I'm getting to know them. And then, when I'm in the bullpen catching for pitchers, I like to ask them questions. Just be like, oh, what's your family like? Or I actually have like a random bank of questions, like just random things. Because I'm like, because it's like, oh my gosh, everybody asks me, where's my family from? Blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, okay, what's your favorite flavor of ice cream? Or like, if you're going to a store, what aisle are you going to go down first? And, or I say like, if you could live anywhere in the world, where would you live? And it's funny because some of my teammates are just like, where do you think of these things? Like, how does that happen? I was like, I don't know. I just think about random things. And I like to be out of the norm,
What is the first aisle you'd go to in a store?
Oh, the first aisle is definitely the drink aisle. Okay. I love, I love drinks. I don't know what it is about it. Like a crispy Diet Coke tastes really good.
I'm with you.
Even though Coach Eakin makes fun of me for this, and a few of my teammates do too, I've never had Mountain Dew. Never.
What?
I've never had a Mountain Dew in my life. Yeah.
Wow. Is this like a pride thing where you're like, since I've never had one, I'm never gonna have one? Or like what?
No, I'd be open to trying it, but like I've just never looked at a Mountain Dew and been like, okay, that's what I want to drink. But it's just never been something that's been around my house. Like my family doesn't really drink them, so I was like, I've never had one. And then Eakin brings like a 6-pack. We go to the store and he's like grabbing a 6-pack of Mountain Dew, and I was like, oh, are these like the be-all end-all? Like what is going on here? And he's like, you've never had a Mountain Dew? And I was like, nope. He's like, you need to try one. And then every teammate I've ever talked to should like, they need to try one. They're like the best thing ever. And actually Cam, our SID, he's like big on Baja Blasts. And so he was telling me, he was like, you've never had a Baja Blast? I was like, again, not when I go to Taco Bell. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need a Baja Blast. Like that's it. But no, so those are, if I go down to the store, drinks, Diet Coke. And there's a drink called Bubbler that I really like.
Okay. My mind is blown how you've gone an entire season with all these people being like, you've never tried this, to not trying it. And this is like, Utah's like the capital of sodas. You know what I mean?
I love Swig. I've now become a Swig fiend. So I'm like, I have to go get Swig like once a week. I'm like, I got to try something new. I was like, there's so many things. And so they're actually, fun fact, there's one coming into Lee's Summit, Missouri, which is like 20 minutes for me. I'm like, oh, good. 20 minutes Swig. I can get my fix when I'm back home. I'm very excited about it.
Well, your assignment is to return and report a taste of Mountain Dew, come back on the show, and let us know what you think. All right?
Rating.
It's pretty good. All right. You played a key part in those wins over Utah a few weeks ago, including a clutch home run in the first game. How would you describe, I know you've talked about this incessantly just because it was such a crazy series, so much fun, especially for the big BYU fans since it was over Utah. But how would you describe that series and your first experience with that in-state rivalry?
Yeah, it was, oh my gosh. It was, the only word I can say is crazy. Like, it was just crazy because it was, we were just all banded together. Like, we just refused to lose. And that's something that you can't create, like, you can't teach. Like, you can't teach, like, not giving up and never, never surrendering, because that's just something that you have to instinctively in your gut. Like, I do not want to lose to these people. And I was like, and I mean, I was feeling the heat. I was like, because I didn't understand the rivalry much. Because I understand, because, I grew up a huge KU fan. being from
You got Kansas State.
Yeah, and K-State, like that oil and water right there. So I was like, okay, I'm trying to like equate it like this is our Kansas State. And so I was like, this is our K-State series. So I was like, okay, I'm going to play like I'm fighting K-State. And then I really started to get it when there was a few plays where the pitcher for them, Shelby Jones, she got a little bit close in our bubble, and I'm competitive as they come, and there was a pitch where she got a little close, and they called it a ball. And I looked at her, I goes, that was a ball, girl. I said, that was a ball, sorry. And she probably didn't hear me. I mean, I felt good saying it at the moment because she was close enough to where, and I, as you know, my voice carries.
Yeah.
I'm not quiet. So she probably did hear it, but I was like, girl, you're getting too close, and that was a ball. So stop celebrating, it was a ball. And come bring me something else. But it was a really fun series to be a part of, and everybody had a hand in it. Like, it felt like such a link arm in arm effort that it was just, we passed the bat. We made something happen each time. Like, everybody just refused to lose up there, and it was just so amazing to see that we could do that as a team. And that's kind of what mentality you want to have to go into postseason,
right?
Is you just have to have that refuse to lose. You have to have that drive and that will to go out and make something happen. Like, even if it's a home run, which I had the day before, and then the next day when I had runners on second and third and a new pitcher came in, I got hit by a pitch. And so then I was like, okay, that's free base. Love that. I'll take that all day. It hurt like freaking crap, but I was like, free base, I'll take that all day. And it's just, trying to do anything to make your team win. And that was just the amazing part of it. And being behind the plate, it was, I really liked it our very first day because the same girl tried to steal twice. And I'd never done that before. I'd never thrown out the same girl twice because most of the time when you throw out the girl the first time, the coach is like,
they learn, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Might not want to do that again. But she tried it again on a hit and run, and I was like, thank you. Take that out. Let's go. So it's just a big momentum thing, and our pitchers just fought. And it's a grind. Like, softball seasons are a grind because we play, 50 to 55 games in a season, and you have people just like, I feel like we're definitely sponsored by KT Tape right now because of how much KT Tape we use. They're never going out of business. I hope you know. KT Tape is never going out of business because we have it on lock, but it was just a really fun series, and I was so excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, you had Lily Owens, walk-off hit, 3-run homer, 9 hits total. Then you have Ela Vea, just broke the freshman RBI record. What's it been like to watch her step up this year?
Oh my gosh, it's been amazing. We have just an interesting dichotomy between each other. She is so calm, cool, collected in the box, like cool as a cucumber up in there. And I'm sitting up there like smiling, dancing, going crazy, party animal type. And it's just been crazy to see. And I just think for her, I cannot wait to see the kind of player that she is because she's just amazing as she is now. And it's only going to get better. I know that for her because I can't wait to see how when she kind of develops the softball IQ and develops that, kind of presence in the box. She has presence right now for sure, but she's going to be an amazing player, and I can't wait to see it. And I'm going to be on the sidelines like, go Elo, go! I can't wait to see it. I'm like, oh my gosh, Elo just did it again. I can't believe it. But a freshman hitting 62 RBIs is insane to me. Mm-hmm. And the fact that she is a freshman, like that doesn't, and sometimes we think about this and we don't talk about, freshman to super senior. Like sometimes it just feels like we're all arm in arm. We're all playing the same. Yeah. Like I don't care if I'm 23 and she's 18.
Right.
Like at the end of the day, we are all on the same page. And it's just been amazing to see that an 18-year-old can step up like that and be that way. Because I for sure know 18-year-old Lindy was not doing that. 18-year-old Lindy needed a few years to catch up to everything. But the fact that she can just come in and just be so confident and come up there and just swing the bat. And I'm like, man, I should think about that more. Just go up there and swing the bat. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
And my favorite quote ever is from Legally Blonde. And she goes, what, like it's hard? And that is Elo to a T. Literally. She's just like, what, like it's hard, Lindy? I'm like, yeah, what? Like it's hard? Let's just do it. It's amazing.
It just comes naturally to some people, right? Like they don't have to overthink it. It just comes when I feel like she's one of those players. You've had some big defensive moments too this season, throwing out base runners, locking it down behind the plate. What's been your personal highlight so far this season?
Okay, I have two. The first one is going to be so funny because it wasn't like a really spectacular play, but it was one of the funniest moments I've had in my career. So we were playing Utah Tech, and there was a play coming in at the plate. And I had gotten the ball, so once you get the ball, the obstruction rule kind of goes away because you're allowed to block the plate at that point.
Yeah.
And so I went down to block the plate, and the girl was like dead out. She was dead out, and she was coming in. She tried to jump over me, and I like flipped her over my shoulder on accident. I swear it was an accident, but I flipped her over my shoulder, and then I looked back and I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And then I threw the ball around because she was out.
but you're out. You're still out.
I was like,
sorry, but
sorry, you're out. But I just like flipped her over my shoulder. My family went crazy about it. They were like, "You WWE'd that girl behind the plate," and I was like, "I know, I'm sorry, but it's just what happened." And I flipped her over my shoulder, and it looked a lot worse than I wanted it to be. But I would say the other series that defensively, so UCF. It sucks that we didn't come out on top, and I was a little disappointed with that. And, as a team, we fought. It just, sometimes it happens, and you just got to move on from it. The UCF series, there was a girl who was 12 for 12 on stolen bases, meaning she had never been thrown out all year. She comes to Provo, and she tries to steal, and I'm like, sorry.
That's
and
awesome.
So it was really fun to kind of have that moment where it's like, oh, you're 12 for 12 on stolen bases. Let's see it. I honestly, I start to get excited about that kind of thing. I'm like, oh, man, they really think they're going to come and try to steal another base. And I'm like, I can't wait for them to run into this freight train right here, coming and take it down. So
well, you have an arm. You have an arm. When we went to the softball game, the Utah game with my husband, he was like, oh, my gosh. The first time he saw you throw it a second, I'm like, yeah, she's crazy. She's crazy good. So what's more satisfying for you, hitting a home run or throwing out a runner who's trying to steal?
Oh, no, that's an impossible question. It depends on the type of game we're having because, okay, I'll give you an example. So I threw out a runner and hit a home run in the same game, but it was it's the top and the bottom.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm like, okay, defensively, that's really amazing because it's just a momentum killer. When you throw out a runner, they're like all the air comes out and they're like, ugh. That's if I had to put a sound to it, it'd just be like, ugh. Really? She just got thrown out. But hitting a home run, you're just like, yay. And you get to run. I also sprint around the bases when I hit a home run. My trainer, I'll shout out Abby Moore. She always gets on my case because she's like, Lindy, I tripped on the base at Houston. And I didn't fall, thank goodness, because that would have made ESPN SportsCenter, and that would have been hilarious. But I tripped on first base, and she goes, you're slowing down when you run across the bases, because I cannot go to our coach and say, Lindy hurt herself running around the bases because she was trying to run too fast. And I'm not fast to begin with. I would say I'm quick, but I'm not fast.
Yeah.
So it's just so hard to say, I would say if it's that home run against Utah to tie the game to send us in extra innings, that was the moment. So I would say in that moment, I would for sure say a home run. But I don't know, the thrill of, because not everybody can throw out runners. Mm-hmm. It's a skill that you have to practice and you just have to consistently work on. And so I would say that's probably one of the biggest things is throwing out runners. It's just my favorite thing ever because it just makes all of the very minor bruises I get all the time by getting hit by pitches that go in the dirt. Oof. And I love my job. Not saying that. There's just a few things that I'm like, just throwing out runners makes up for that.
It makes it all better.
Makes it all worth it.
Catcher is one of the toughest spots in softball, I feel like. And you're basically the field general. You're the one that can see everything and dictate everything. Why did you choose that position when you were first getting into softball?
Well, to be totally honest, and to give another shout out to my mom and my middle sister, she wanted to be a pitcher, my middle sister. And so my mom's like, I don't want to catch anymore. So Lindy, go put on the gear. And I was like, okay, whatever. This seems okay. So I started that way. And then it just became I just started to love it. I just really loved the strategy of it because catching is not just a brute force position. It's just as technical, and it's all about you got to command the field, and it's a leadership position on top of the fact that it is just, a grind behind the plate and framing. And, it's a little bit social too, which I like. I get to talk to umpires and get to know them. So that's always been kind of cool. But yeah, first started with my sister Ryan. She wanted to be a pitcher. That didn't pan out. She became a fantastic shortstop, though. So it just, she's like, go put on the gear. And then I started, playing more, and she started teaching me the technicalities of it, and it just became my favorite spot, and I didn't want to leave it.
I can't wait to get into, and we'll do this a little later, just growing up, having a mom who's a coach. We'll get into that. But do you think Haley Morrow was a little bit secretly relieved to not have to catch when you came in?
We talk about this a lot because I got a foul ball right off my dome the other day. Like, it literally just rang my bell. And I look at her because she's at shortstop, and she's just cackling over there, laughing. And I bring her into when we get back into the dugout, I was like, I saw you laughing over there. She's like, I know. She's like, I don't miss that part. She's like, I don't miss the part about having to block balls and get hit in the thigh. She's like, I actually love not having to get bruises on my body 24/7. And I was like, you know what? That's right. I was like, I can't argue with that. I'm like, there's no retort, because I'm like, I can't argue with that, because she's right. She and I feel like we've had a really good dynamic. You, as a catcher, you just have to be really communicative with your shortstop, because, she's the one you're throwing down to. She's the one that is also a field general for the infield. Mm-hmm. So it's like talking with her and knowing that she has that field general presence on top of the fact that she's an amazing shortstop is so nice for me, because we really are on the same page on relays. We tend to make things happen. So it's good to have somebody who has that kind of catching sense in the infield, because then I don't really have to worry about it as much. I'm just like, oh man, cool. I got another catcher in the infield. Yeah. Great. This is awesome.
That's interesting. Yeah, I didn't really think about that. That definitely adds some chemistry there. All right, you've got a lot of talents outside of softball. You bowled a perfect 300, as your bio says. You can solve a Rubik's Cube in under 2 minutes. And you play instruments. What can't you do?
I can't run fast.
Okay.
That's the one thing I can't do is run really fast. I can jump okay, but I was like, that's... Oh, cooking. Cooking, I have a specialty dish, and that is all I can cook.
Okay.
What is it? It is fried rice. Like, I can make hibachi-style dinner like nobody's business, let me tell you. But anything other than that, nope.
What's something random you haven't tried to do but you really want to? Because you seem like an adventurous sort.
Yeah, I want to go skydiving. Skydiving seems really cool, so I think that would be really cool to do. I also want to try my hand at golf. I think after I'm done, it just seems really low key. Yeah. Since the high stress is a softball, and I'm like, I got the power, so I'm like, all right, let's see if I can hit this ball 300 yards. Let's just drive this ball. I know it's not going to go straight, but I'm going to drive it anyway.
Yeah.
So probably golf.
What instruments do you play?
So I play the drums. I play the guitar, which is self-taught. My stepdad taught me how to play the drums when I was little, and there's pictures of me playing on drum sets. And I had drum sets growing up. I play the piano. I was taught to play the piano, and my mom was like, okay, you're going to learn instruments, because it actually really translates to a lot of different things in life. So I would recommend anybody who, if you're looking for something, your kids to do something growing up, music, piano, violin, it's a skill that you really need for later in life. And I also taught myself how to play the flute. So I can play those 4. Wow. Probably the one I'm best at is the piano, and then the drums and the guitar, and then the flute is just a fun little skill I wanted to try.
Jeez, look at you.
What can I say?
That's incredible, but it is true. Once you start playing one, the other ones become a little bit easier. Maybe not drums.
Yeah, drums
might be its own thing.
Drums are because you just have to have that rhythm, and the baseline of everything, musically inclined, and honestly, sports too, is there's just this rhythm that you kind of pick up on. There's rhythm and there's ebbs and flows, and so once you kind of understand rhythm, it's really easy to start picking up habits and picking up really technical skills, because you have that underlying baseline of, I have the rhythm, I have the knowledge. The other thing I would say that's actually really applicable to sports is that self-awareness. When you play an instrument, you have to be really self-aware of your breathing, of your movements, of everything. And so it's been really nice for me, because I'm really self-aware. I'll talk with our coach about something, and he'll be like, hey, what are you feeling in your swing right now? And I'd be like, oh, I dropped my shoulders. I lost my back hip. And he'd be like, exactly. He's like, how did you know that? And I was like, I just felt it. It's crazy.
Lindy, you got to be a coach one day. You'd be such a great coach.
I hope so. I'm trying to someday, hopefully.
Well, you also sang the national anthem to open the Utah series. How did that opportunity come about?
To be honest, I was in my bed before the game, and I got a text from our coach, and she was just like, hey, you want to sing the national anthem? And I was like, sure, why not? Like, okay, just, whatever, let's just do it. She texted me that morning, and she's like, you don't have to if you don't want to. And I was like, well, I want to practice. Like, it's something that I've always wanted to do. And so she just texted me, and I was like, you know what, sure. And she told me later, she was like, if I would have texted anyone else, they would have been like, no. But she was like, I knew with you, you'd probably say yes. There's not a lot of stuff I say no to, because I'm just like, it's a cool experience. I've never done it. That's not true. I've done it before at the University of Iowa my freshman year, but it was recorded. So like I went into their studio, recorded it, and they just played it on their huge, Jumbotron thing. And so I was like, okay, well, I told her, I was like, should I just record it again? She's like, no, you're going to sing it live. And I was like, what's funny is I was a lot more nervous singing the national anthem than I was in that seventh inning, in the bottom of that seventh inning, came up with 2 outs, had to get 1 run to tie it. Not nervous. Up there singing in a bunch of 800 people, I was like, I'm feeling a little nervous.
All eyes on you.
Yeah, and then my teammates are there. I'm like, oh gosh, I'm never going to hear the end of this. I was like, if I suck, they're never going to let me do anything again.
You did such a great job, but you did have to look at the lyrics. Is that right?
Yeah, I did, only because I was just so nervous. And I was like, if I mess up the national anthem, I'm going to get put on something. Social media is going to come for me. And I was like, please, no. So I used it as a reference. Like, I know the lyrics of the national anthem. I swear I know the lyrics. I just was like, I'm so nervous right now. If I mess this up, I'm like, I'm never going to hear the end of it. So I just had it as a reference guide.
Yeah, that's smart. That's smart to do. Let's go down. We're going down your list of accomplishments and skills, by the way.
Okay, good to know.
We've seen your dancing skills in that clip with Kennedy Belknap during the game. Mm-hmm. Who came up with that choreography?
I'm not sure who came up with it, but it's just always something.
It's just a line dance.
Yeah, so it's just a line dance. Like, you can look it up on YouTube and just be like, okay, if I want to learn Shivers by Ed Sheeran, you just look it up, Shivers, Ed Sheeran, line dance on YouTube, and you learn it. So I have a place back home where I go line dancing all the time. And so when you go line dancing a lot, you start picking up the choreography. Mm-hmm. And so then I'm like, okay, as soon as I hear the song, I know exactly what steps I'm doing. I know exactly how to do it. I will say, though, the Kansas line dances are slightly different than the Utah line dances, which I'm learning.
So Kennedy, she's just all about it, too. She's like, yeah, let's do this.
Oh, yeah. She for sure. It's usually Tristan Turlington, too. She'll come line dance with us, too. But, yeah, the ones they usually play are Fake ID and Shivers. So I was like, oh, I got this on lock. I was like, all right, let's do this. And I usually don't have anything while they're doing lines because, catchers. So I just have to wait till the pitchers are done. So I'm like, oh, what can I do in this moment? So I either play hacky sack, or when they play a line dance, I line dance. It was funny because when we were playing against Utah Tech and Utah, they played 2 line dances, and all the girls were staring at me, like, I think trying to pick up the steps. And I was like, oh, yeah, you can learn from me. I got this down.
The girls from the other team?
Yeah, the girls from the other team. They were watching me. And I was like, this is really cool. I want to learn how to do this. I mean, I'm speculating here, but that's what I'm
putting words in their mouth. I'm like, pretty sure that's what they were saying.
Pretty sure that's what they were thinking. I mean, I like to think that's what they were thinking. They were like, what is this girl doing out here? Isn't she supposed to be focusing on the game?
You have on your Instagram bio that you're a professional hype woman, and you just have so much energy. Where does that energy come from? Have you always been the life of the party your whole life? Or
yeah,
you just came out that way?
I came out that way, and you'll see. So my mom was at the UCF series. My mom and dad got up and were doing like the finish the lyric challenge that they have there. Uh-huh. And you would know I didn't hatch. Like, I wasn't scientifically created to be this way. I definitely followed suit because my mom is just as lively as energetic. Mm-hmm. But I also think like there's just I feel so vibrant, and I feel like I can be myself here, which makes it 10 times easier to just go have fun. And this sport is meant to be fun. It's just, Elo and I, it's funny. We both say the same thing. We just do it in different ways. Elo has just as fun as me, and she says that. She's like, softball's just meant to be fun. And I was like, absolutely. That is how it's supposed to be played. I'm just a little bit more expressive about it, and a little bit more, out there about it, because I just, I think it's meant to be a fun game. And I want to inspire those little girls out there that are like, it doesn't have to be so serious. Like, and honestly, the science shows that if you play looser, if your muscles are physically less tight, you tend to play better because your muscles are just loose, and you work in your parietal lobe, and you're just sitting there, just muscle memory, and you just go do it. I was a psychology major, so I love the brain. I love talking about the brain. Anytime I can talk about it, I'm gonna talk about it.
You should for sure be a coach. I'm carving out your path for you.
Okay, good to know.
We're gonna take a quick break, but when we come back, Lindy takes us back to where it all started for her, growing up in a sporty family and playing softball at 3 different schools and finding her home at BYU for one final season. This is Her Why. What's up, guys? This is Lauren McLean for Her Why. If you like this podcast, make sure you check out the other podcasts I host, Royal Legacy. The Cougars have a stockpile of legacy athletes, parents and kids, siblings, husbands and wives. I feature them all on Royal Legacy. Download it wherever you get your podcasts or on the BYU Radio app. Welcome back to Her Why. I'm Lauren McLean here with BYU Softball senior catcher Lindy Milkowski. You've had quite the college journey. Let's start from the beginning. You grew up in Olathe, Kansas, in a super sporty family. How would you describe what your childhood was like?
It was just sports all day, every day. Like, my grandma would take us out when I was 5 years old, and she would put a bat in her hand, and she'd toss us the ball, and we'd just be hitting balls. And it was just sports like 24/7, 365. And that's kind of what you have to do to like make it to the really high level. So I played with a few other really high level collegiate athletes. One being Corby Otis, who just got her ticket to go to the Athletes Unlimited. I played with her growing up, and it's just like when you grow up with a mom who played collegiate softball, she knows what it takes to get there. So yeah, she dragged me out by the ear, and she was like, "You got to get on the tee." Because she, I will give her this credit. She was like, "What are your goals, Lindy? Like, what do you want to do?" 8-year-old Lindy was like, "I want to go play in the Olympics."
Yeah.
I was like, "I want to go play for the best teams ever." And she was like, "Okay, well, do you know what you have to do to get there?" And I was like, "No, I have no idea. I'm 8 years old, Mom. Like, what do I know?"
You tell me.
So she was like, "You got to get on the tee every day. You got to go out. You got to work on all your mechanics. You got to work on your throwing. You got to work on catching. It's just there's skills that you have to learn to be at that high level. And it starts now. It starts when you're a kid." So we would go practice 3 to 4 times a week. She had her own team at one point, so our teams would get together. We'd practice at really high levels. So it was just, it was softball for a long time, but then we also found times to go on family vacations and have a lot of fun. My grandparents, on my dad's side of the family, were just, the rock for us. We would go out there. So I was born and raised in Colorado, actually. I lived in Colorado for most of my life until my sophomore year of high school, and then I moved to Kansas.
Okay.
But I identify more with Kansas a little bit more, just because it's more me.
Mm-hmm,
like, I feel like I'm just Midwest. If you like a pictured a Midwest person, I feel like you'd picture me. So I just identify more with the Midwest than I did with Colorado. The weather is a lot similar to here, though, and I do love the dryness of Utah. Like, the humidity of Kansas kills me.
Yeah.
But it was just growing up, me and my middle sister played softball, and then my oldest sister played volleyball. So when we were at softball stuff, she would come shag balls and toss balls to us and do things. She actually has now become the fungo person for me, because I played first base for a little while after I tore my ACL, and she just took it upon her to become this fungo person, which means she tosses the ball and she hits us ground balls, and she rockets them at me. And I was sitting there and I was like, I can't even complain, because the person in this, in the box is not going to take it easy on me. But I was like, dang, Kels. I was like, you're killing me over here. I get stuff off my shins. I'd get stuff off my arm. And she'd be like, what? They're not going to take it easy on you in the game. I go, well, that's fair. But it was just a lot of sports a lot of the time. And I made some really long-lasting friendships with softball. And then we always found time to go, as a family and take vacations. But it was mostly sports.
Your mom, Joy, played softball at Kansas, now an assistant coach for Memphis. What's it like then and even now having a mom who is a coach?
It's a blessing and a curse, let me tell you. Nothing gets by her. Like, nothing. So, I have a ritual after the games. I go back and, with a fine-tooth comb, watch my at-bats and watch my catching stuff, just because I want to know, what did I do well And then I also want to know, okay, what are the areas that I need to grow? Was there something blocking wise that I could have done better? Was there an approach that I had that wasn't necessarily the right approach there? And so she likes to be a part of those rituals, so she can be like, you should have swung at that pitch. You should have, taken this one. You should have, done something better on this one. So it's definitely, sometimes I'm like, was there anything I did right?
Yeah.
Like, what did I do right? But then most of the time she's also, I go back and watch some videos sometimes of, the Houston series was probably my favorite series. Just because I was lights out. I felt like the ball was the size of a beach ball for me, and I just was like boom, boom, boom. And so, what I love about those is when she is not being my biggest critic, she is being my biggest fan, and you can hear her screaming at the top of her lungs when I hit home runs because she's just so excited for me. And so she's just an amazing person. And the fact that on top of the fact that she's the assistant coach at Memphis, she's also running a very successful business. So she's a CEO of a marketing firm.
Whoa.
And it's just like, she's Superwoman, and I don't know how she does it. And she's just amazing. And I give her all the praise because she's like, here's what we always say. She's like, I take 100% credit for your softball career. And I was like, I will give you 98% credit. The 2% I think just goes to the fact that I've kept going and doing it, because I could have quit a long time ago, but I was like, the 2%, I'll give myself 2%, but you can get like 98%.
Well, let's give a shout out to some of the other athletes in your family too. Your dad played basketball in college. Your sister Ryan played softball at Valparaiso. Your sister Kelsey played volleyball at UMKC in Northern Colorado. Woo! That's a lot of athletes.
Yeah, it's just, when you have that determination and you have the kind of parental understanding of what it takes to play sports in college, it's, there's a formula, and they clearly found it. I mean, they clearly know the formula. And so, my oldest sister played volleyball in college, and she was an amazing athlete. And then my sister Ryan and I, we played in high school together for 2 years because we're only like 16 months apart.
Okay.
So we were one grade apart from each other. So we had 2 years worth of high school. And it was so fun playing with her in high school because we were neck and neck for home runs. Like, it was like she would pull ahead and then I'd tie it up and then I'd go ahead and then she'd tie it up. So it was just so fun to have that competitive atmosphere with her. And she did an amazing job at Valparaiso, and I was so excited to see her thrive. It just happened to get cut short because she had hip problems, so she had to medically retire. But she was an amazing shortstop, and she was just a phenomenal player. Like, if you think about somebody who just grinds, she could put her head down and do the work way more than I could. I was always like, T work, whatever.
Yeah.
She was like, no, Lindy, we got to go do T work, and we got to go do this. And I was like, why are you so like this? I was like, oh. But then
I just want to go line dance.
I know. I just want to go dance. I just want to go sing. Like, I just want to go solve my Rubik's Cube. Why are you letting me do this? But she's so diligent and hardworking, and I definitely feel like that translated into me. And it was just the skills got passed down. Like, my oldest sister Kelsey she's the mayor. She was the president of SAC, I think, and she was just like, she knew everybody among everybody, but she was just such a team player. She had such of this presence of a leader that didn't always get the credit, but she was always going to be the person at practice, working the hardest, pushing her other players, and she would honestly be the biggest cheerleader for everyone. No matter what happened, she would be the biggest cheerleader. She would give everybody the props that they deserved. And so each of them had different skills, and they were all good at what they did. And then I tried to learn from them, because that's what I think is just learning from them and taking what I can to become that professional hype woman. I definitely got that mostly from her. And then just the diligence to say, like, I need to go do the T work, and I need to put my head down and be a hard worker like my middle sister.
So how do you guys decide what team you're going to cheer for? Like, because, I mean, you got Kansas, you got BYU.
Yeah.
Who do your parents cheer for? Do they?
Oh, my mom is KU through and through.
Is she?
She's actually started rooting for BYU more.
Which is hard because you're in the same conference.
I know. That's where it was hard, because she was like, well, so it was really funny. When KU came to town and played football, I wore all my BYU stuff except for one thing.
Oh.
For one thing, I wore my KU socks. And I wore my KU socks, and I was like, that's the only thing I'm going to wear. I'm not going to wear anything else. And so they ended up losing that game.
Yeah.
And I felt really bad about it. And Coach Eakin, I walk into his office the next day, and he has got just this look on his face, and he goes, "So you're the reason why BYU lost? Because you were wearing your KU socks?" And I was like, Coach, I swear, I would have been happy either way. I'm less happy they lost, but I mean, it's KU. Like, I literally, born and bred, like, I have 4 generations of my family that went to KU. So
That's deep.
It runs deep. I can't get rid of it.
I respect that, though. I do. I really do. You started your playing career at Iowa. What initially made you choose that school to play softball?
We had some connections there. So when I was playing club, I played for a club called Iowa Premier, and our coach, his name is Greg Dickel. He knew the coaches there, and he kind of got me recruited to go there. And so it's not very far from home. So most of the time when they recruit in the Midwest, they're like, well, it's not very far from home. And the facilities were really nice. I liked the coaches. I liked the culture there at the time. I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't ask the right questions.
Yeah.
But it was a cool school, and I really liked the academic side of it because I am a student athlete on top of being an athlete. So the schooling there was really good. It had a good psychology program. So all in all, it was what I thought was the right decision. And then you just realize after the fact, you're like, well, they sell the dream. They sell the dream, and then you're like, well, this is not the dream.
This isn't quite the dream.
This wasn't the dream. So then I left.
So what made you decide to go in the portal and end up at Eastern Illinois, where you played for 3 years?
Yeah. I knew at that moment that this wasn't the place for me. The culture was just maybe not the right fit for the type of player I am. Like, I'm smiley, goofy, but I also have a pretty competitive edge, and I want to win. Like, I think you should come to a school. And at that point, this is just the crazy part to me, that year, we were 4th in the Big Ten. Iowa had never been above, like, the bottom of the barrel in the Big Ten. For a long time, we were literally 4th. I didn't understand why we didn't want to be more competitive. We didn't want to beat these other teams.
Yeah.
So I was holding people accountable. I'm a catcher. I'm a leader. Like, how am I supposed to feel that I can call out a play or I can call out, a system when I don't feel like they're actually listening to me? And so that was hard to kind of get my head around. And I just realized, I talked with the coaches, and I think I was just like, this isn't the fit for me. I wish you guys nothing but the best in your tenure. And, thank you so much. And I'm going to go find a place where they value what I bring to the table.
Yeah. And so what was it about Eastern Illinois that made you go there?
The coach there, she just, again, kind of, she gave me the opportunity to play and be myself. And I think she saw the vision of what I could be, because I played a lot my freshman year, a lot for what normal freshmen usually play at that time. I would say it's definitely gone away from that because of the amount of talent freshmen are coming in with now.
Right.
But, coming in as not there's a big thing. California and Florida, you can play all year. You can play year round because of the weather. In Kansas, you can't play year round.
Right.
Because you got snow, and I love snow. Winter's my favorite time of the year, but you can't play.
You're in the right place then.
I do. I loved it. It was literally like being in a snow globe. It was so fun. And actually, sidebar about that is we played a game against UVU. It was literally sunny and snowy in the same game, and I was like, how is this happening?
You're like, am I in heaven?
Is this heaven? I was like, I think I'm in a snow globe right now, because I was like, how is it sunny but it's also snowing outside? I've never had that. I was talking to the umpire behind the plate. I was like, is this always how it is here? Like, it's snowing but the sun is out. And he goes, yeah, it's what it do, what it be, what it does. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna play through it. But I don't get cold.
You need to be mic'd up and just record all the conversations that you have with the umpires.
That I have with the umpire. It would be great. Oh my gosh, it'd be so much fun. But yeah, and then I got to Eastern, and the girls were much more accepting of me, and we had a lot of fun. I think at that point, again, I'm just a brand of player that you don't see very often. You just don't see very smiley, bubbly, because I think what coaches see when they see that is she doesn't care.
Right.
She doesn't care. She doesn't want it. And that is not at all true. If anything, I smile so that I can cover up the fact that the fuel and the hate fire that I want. I actually see that. That's a phrase we use, is fueling my hate fire, of just like, I want to win so freaking bad. It's not even cool. Like, I want to win so bad. And so it's just like, I smile because if I had just this deadpan face, it would not be fun for me because I'd get too tense. And I was like, okay, Lindy, you got to loosen up. As much as you want to win, you got to loosen up. You got to, find a way to make it happen. And so that brand of player is hard. And I think at that time, the coach thought she wanted that, but it might not have been the best fit for her. So I played there. I loved the girls. My junior year, even though my junior year was a whole roller coaster of emotions, we ended up winning.
ACL, right?
Yeah, tore my ACL, had no idea I tore it, and it was a roller coaster of emotions, but we all banded together and fought and ended up making it to a regional, and that was just an amazing year for me.
After recovering from your injury, you had a decision to make if you wanted to keep playing softball or because you graduated from Eastern Illinois. Mm-hmm. You obviously decided to continue your softball career. What made BYU and Coach Eakin your last stop?
This is going to be a funny story, and I have to tell it because it's so crazy. So, like I said, I played for an organization called Iowa Premier. My coach there knows Coach Eakin, and so he actually called. Coach Eakin called about another catcher who is younger than me. And shout out to my coach, Coach Greg. He was like, I think you want to look at this girl from Eastern Illinois. And so he took a look at me. He called me, and he made me aware of, like, the honor code and everything like that. And I was like, okay, I'm going to say something. You guys can cut this out, but I think it's really funny. He was like, you can't do drugs or alcohol. And I was like, the only drugs I do are ibuprofen and Tylenol. So that's I got to pound those after surgery. So you guys can keep that in if you want.
Fit right in.
But, so he gave me a call, and we talked for a little while, and then I hadn't heard from him for a bit, and I was like, I really do think BYU could be the place for me. So I drafted an email, and the subject line was, not to brag, but I'm 0 for 1 on stolen bases. That was literally the subject line. And if anybody knows anything about sports, that is not a stat to be bragging about. And he calls me back a few weeks later, and he was like, I opened your email because that subject line was so good. Like, he was like, that's not something that anybody should be putting out there. And you just used it and you made it yours. And I was like, and again, shout out to Joy, marketing phenom. She was like, that's something that gets people's attention. That gets people's attention because it's just like, you're talking to a Big 12 coach who's literally got accolades among accolades, and you are bragging about being over 1 for stolen bases. Like, that's crazy. And so that just started it all. And then I came on a visit, and he picked me up from the airport. And we shared our love for Dumb and Dumber, great movie. And I quoted it because he was just being fun and whatever. And he was like, you've had 2 pairs of gloves this whole time. And I look at him and I was like, this is a test. I know this is a test right now to see if I know this movie. And I look at him and I go, yeah, we're in the Rockies. So he was like, okay, this is it. I was like, I think this is the time.
She's the one.
And so it was just, I came on a visit, and this place is just, it's amazing. The facilities are fantastic. The administration, I actually came to this broadcasting building because he wanted to show it to me because I was interested in a little bit of business and broadcasting, and I feel like I might be okay in broadcasting if I tried my hand in it,
you'd do just fine.
So I was like, I might have a face for radio. You never know.
Oh, my gosh.
So I was like, maybe that might be the way to go. But so I was thinking about that, and I was like, oh, and he showed me this building, and it was just, I met the girls, and I did this little psychological experiment with them, and he was like, oh, she'll fit right in. Because I'm not very shy, in case you didn't know. So it was just like, it was the place, and I literally, okay. He tried to be like, I want your answer now. And I was on my own.
Wow.
And I am 20. Okay. It lovingly. He was like, hey, this offer's not going to be on the table forever. And that's how it is.
Right.
And so he told me that. And I was like, okay, just give me some time. Give me a day. A day till I get back. I can kind of talk with my mom, and I can talk with my family about this. Because, I'm pretty far away. It was a 15-hour drive on my rinky-dink car named Bobbert. I got to shout out Bobbert. He's a 2000 Ford Explorer.
Wow.
2000 Ford Explorer. He's got a white little bobblehead in the dash.
25 years with Bobbert.
25 years with Bobbert. It's been great. But, I got to the airport. I called my mom, And we like talked about the pros and cons because I was looking at another school at that point, and I was like, there's good things, bad things. And I was like, And then she's like, Lindy, I think you know what you want to do. And I think you need to pray on it. You pray and then you decide. And I prayed and I was like, all right, God, you're right. I want to go to BYU. Okay, you're leading me in this direction. All right, let's do it. So I called him at the airport, not even a few hours later. And I was like, hey, I know I said I was going to wait, but is it okay if I want to come to BYU? And he was like, absolutely. We'll get it going, rocking and rolling. And then I ended up actually flying back to Kansas City. I got stuck because there was a huge storm. I ended up having to stay in Oklahoma City the night. And it was just crazy. And he was like, I'm so sorry this happened. In Coach Egan voice, because that's not Coach Egan voice. But
a little deeper, maybe.
Like, sorry this happened.
We're going to clip this off and show him. This is what you sound like, according to Lindy.
This is what you sound like. So, I ended up getting stuck. And then I was like, I knew this was the place. If I have plane troubles, I was like, God is clearly steering me in the right direction. He was like, you need to think about this decision.
Yeah.
I ended up coming to BYU. Best decision I've ever made.
Did it almost surprise yourself a little bit? You're like, BYU in Utah, where there's this LDS culture. Did it kind of surprise you a little bit when you felt that, like, this is where I need to be?
I think at the end of the day, I was just like, these people are amazing. Like, they're amazing. And being a part of a culture that celebrates their faith on top of the fact of their sports abilities and their academics, like, that's amazing to me. And I think, like, I loved it. Like, I love that I can embrace my faith on top of the fact that I can play the sport that I love and I can dance around and kind of joke around a little bit and have fun with it. But that was not a deterrent for me. If anything, that was like, I'm so happy that I can be celebrated for the things that I love, that are part of me and a part of who I am as a person, my faith, my academics, and my softball abilities. I think that was just amazing to come here and experience that. And I would recommend that to anybody. Yeah. If they want to come here, absolutely. Please come. Join. Is this an ad? No.
Join us.
I'm not getting paid to do this. I really want people to come here out of the goodness of my heart.
My last question for you is, since this is potentially your last season of softball, when you look at the end of the season, what would success in your career look like for you?
Success for me would look like, did I put everything on the field? Did I leave everything out there that I've had because I don't get it anymore? I don't get another day in NCAA softball. Did I give so much heart? Did I give all of the effort, the blood, the sweat, the tears, everything? Did I leave it all out there in the field? Because if I didn't, I would regret it for the rest of my life. If I didn't go and put everything I could, dancing, singing, smiling, tears, blood. I actually got cut up the other day sliding into home plate. I was out, but I'm so diving and just selling out. If I didn't give that, I would regret it. So I was like, I'm going to give everything I have to make this team the best version of themselves, to make everybody feel welcomed, to play at the best of our abilities. And that's just what I've always wanted to do, is can I make this team and can I bring this team up to the level that I know they can play at, because we have an amazing team. This is the best team I've ever been a part of in terms of raw talent, in terms of just sell out mentality and never quit mentality. Because if you know anything about sports, an 8-1 deficit is extremely in the bottom of the seventh. I was there and I can't even wrap my head around it. I was there sitting there. I was like, just the amount of grit and heart that we showed, and the fact that we can do that means that we want it. And that's just what I want to do, is I want to leave it all out there, and I want to give everything for my team because they deserve it. They deserve my 100%. And even my mom and I like to joke we're 110%, because there's always that 10% more that you can give. There's always that more that you can give, and I want to sell out for them, and I know they'll sell out for me. That's the thing too, is I know that they're selling out for me every day, so I need to sell out for them. We're putting our bodies on the line for this, and I'm right there with them. My knee gets sore every now and then. I was like, this old girl needs some oil in there. But I was like, I'm going to give everything I have for this, because that's what matters. And it's just, I want to sell out, and I want to have just an amazing, and it's been an amazing season. The best season I've been a part of. And I wouldn't change it for anything. And I want to leave everything out there for them and for me.
I'm here with Lindy Milkowski, BYU softball catcher. You are just incredible. I just love you. I wish we had 3 or 4 more years with you, but I'm grateful for the year that we got. Thank you so much for coming on with me.
No, thank you so much for having me.
Thanks to Annie Robinson for producing this episode with senior producer Cleon Wall. Her Why is a production of BYU Radio.